The magical girl subgenre has always been a cornerstone of anime, known for its whimsical fantasy and stories of young girls transforming into their alter egos with magic. Iconic titles like Sailor Moon defined the genre, leading the way for series like Cardcaptor Sakura, Magical Girl Lyrical Nanoha, and that one series that we don't talk about. But let's be real, it's never really been my thing. That is, until you guys decided otherwise. I ran a massive poll back in December asking which horror series I should cover next, and after a close tie, the winner was Magical Girl Apocalypse. This series takes the innocent, sparkly image of magical girls and completely flips it on its head, blending gore, terror, and chaos into a nightmare you can't look away from. Over the next 4 videos, we'll be diving deep into this series volume by volume because, trust me, there is a ton to unpack here. So today, let's kick things off and find out what makes Magical Girl Apocalypse stand out from its sugar-coated predecessors. But before we start, make sure to follow my Twitch account. All of my streams are going to be over at Twitch, so catch me every Sunday at 4 PM Eastern. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Kogami Ki is a freshman in high school, living a dull and uneventful life. The only thing that sparks any interest is his crush, Inui Natsuki. Meanwhile, his childhood friend, Fukimoto Sukune, endures constant bullying from her classmates. During class, Kogami stares out the window and notices the gym teacher talking to a strange young girl. She is wearing a black puffy dress and holding a particular umbrella-like staff with a ball at the tip. The gym teacher tells her that she isn't allowed inside. In response, the girl blows his head off. Shocked, Kogami tries to brush it off as his imagination, but when he looks back, the girl is staring straight at him. As he excuses himself to go to the bathroom, the girl suddenly leaps through the classroom window. Kogami hears the chaos and grabs a baseball bat, rushing back to find the girl, slaughtering his entire class. Inui makes a small noise, drawing the girl's attention. Just as the girl prepares to attack, Kogami slams the bat into her head. However, despite his efforts, the girl manages to kill her right in front of him. In a fit of rage, Kogami repeatedly bashes the girl's skull in until she stops moving. Kogami believes that he is the only survivor, but it turns out that Sukune had been hiding in the classroom closet the whole time. Another student, Arimura, also survived by pretending to be dead, but to their horror, the magical girl regenerates, her head rebuilding itself as if nothing happened. Before they can react, a zombified student appears behind Arimura and crushes his head. The other students in the classroom begin rising as undead zombies, their bodies resonating with the magical girl's body. They charge at Kogami and Sukune, who realize that the entire school is under attack. Amid the chaos, an older boy bursts in to help them escape. He takes them to a smaller group of survivors. The group bickers over what to do, but eventually comes up with a plan. They'll steal keys from the staff parking lot and escape the school in a car. Before they leave, they check Twitter and discover that the attacks aren't limited to their school. It's happening across all of Japan. They leap out a window and see a massive pentagram in the sky. The pentagram cracks, then shatters, as countless versions of the magical girl descend from above. The group reaches the car, but there's a problem. It won't fit all 7 of them. Tensions flare when one of the survivors suggests leaving Kogami and Sukune behind. However, before anything can be decided, the fat boy and little girl in the group are burned to a crisp. The remaining survivors pile into the car and speed off, but a magical girl with a fire-breathing dog pursues them. Zombies swarm the vehicle as the dog readies another fireball. Thinking quickly, Kogami throws a bottle of sake, causing an explosion that takes out the magical girl, as they manage to escape the schoolyard. The group introduces themselves. The woman is named Yuruka, and the 2 boys are Godai and Kasai. Together, they try to make sense of the apocalypse that has consumed their world. Kasai has a radio app that broadcasts a state of emergency, with the government mobilizing defense forces across Japan. But as they listen, the announcement abruptly changes. The magical girls are attacking them. Their journey then brings them to a foggy roadblock. As they venture into the mist, the magical girl with the fire-breathing dog appears, fully regenerated. Suddenly, Godai and Kasai's heads are blown off. The fog is filled with magical chants, and the group runs out of the mist, encountering another magical girl, this one with a grotesque eyeball in her mouth. As they continue through the city, they witness horrifying scenes, citizens being murdered by zombies and a magical girl sucking people up into the sky, forming a giant spear of bodies before dropping them to the ground. The impact splatters the victims, transforming them into even more zombies. In their desperate escape, the group encounters two girls fighting off a zombie. To their shock, the girls are Miki and Kaede, the same bullies who tormented Sukune. True to form, Miki and Kaede begin berating Sukune, but Yuruka quickly intervenes, urging everyone to just focus on surviving. The group decides to head towards a mall, but Kaede falls behind. As she lags further, it becomes apparent that she has turned into a zombie. The volume ends with the group successfully reaching the safety of the mall, at least for now. The second volume begins with the group in the mall, where they come face to face with a cop standing with his genitals exposed. Two violated and dead women lie on the floor nearby. The cop points his gun at the group and attempts to assault Yuruka and Sukune. Miku tries to intervene, but the cop shoots her in the leg. Before he can continue, the cop is struck in the back of the head with a shovel. The man wielding the shovel is Ren, a medical student searching for a job. Ren informs the group that there are more survivors gathered in the mall's food court. Meanwhile, Kaede enters a shop to search for medical supplies, but becomes possessed by a magical girl. In her possessed state, Kaede sees a young girl enter the room and transfers the magical girl's soul into the child's body. The group then heads to the food court, which is filled with frightened survivors. Among them, Kogami spots a familiar face, his deaf classmate, Himeji. While there, Yuruka excuses herself to go to the bathroom, where she vomits blood, a side effect of the spear attack from earlier in the city. Ren discovers this and informs her that her stomach is bleeding eternally. He warns that she should find a doctor as soon as possible once they leave the mall. Suddenly, helicopters are heard outside. The group rushes to the roof in an attempt to flag them down, but the helicopters ignore them. As they return inside, Himeji begins panicking, while Kaede and Miki declare that the young girl is the devil. Back at the food court, the little girl begins slaughtering everybody. She grows a magical girl from the top of her head, horrifying the group. Ren points a gun at the child but hesitates when the magical girl speaks, warning him that shooting her would kill the child as well. The group attempts to flee, but the magical girl catches up and punches Miki's head off her body. Ren then fires his gun but misses, leaving only 2 bullets remaining. Desperate, the group realizes that they need someone with shooting experience. They run over to the cop and beg him to shoot the magical girl. Though he doesn't understand what's going on, the cop takes the shot, aiming directly at her eye. However, she stops the bullet midair and launches it back at them, hitting Ren in the ribs. Kogami quickly devises a plan though. They lure the magical girl to the bathroom where she corners the cop. As she charges at him, Kogami dumps water on her, temporarily disorientating her. Yuruka then emerges from a stall and uses a taser on the magical girl. The cop then delivers the final blow by shooting her in the eye. While the magical girl is down and weakened, Kogami interrogates her, demanding to know where she came from and what her intentions are. She reveals that the chaos is all a part of the Magical Girl Apocalypse project. The Magical Girls were created to ensure the game progresses towards its finale. However, she cannot dive deeper into the truth, as doing so would result in her immediate death by that person. As she speaks, the magical girl leaves the child's body. The cop, assuming it is a mosquito, squishes the magical girl. Her wand falls to the ground and then it shatters, causing her to dissolve into powder. The group realizes that the magical girl's wands are their weakness. Breaking the wands ensures their death. After healing their wounds and then changing into new clothes, the group decides to stay in the mall. They decide to connect with each other, with Kogami comforting Kaede after Miki's death, Yuruka and Sukune talking about her crush on Kogami, and the cop getting handcuffed in the bathroom. They plan to turn the mall into a base and gather weapons to fight off the magical girls. Kaede explains that she killed a magical zombie earlier by decapitating it. So now the group knows the weakness of both the magical zombies and the magical girls. The group works together to board up windows, gather food and water, and create weapons for defense. Meanwhile, in a neighboring city, a group of military soldiers fight off magical zombies. Their efforts are cut short when they are crushed by a giant magical girl's foot. The loud rumbling wakes the group in the mall. They look outside to see a kaiju-sized magical girl rampaging through the city. Helicopters arrive to confront it, but one is struck and sent spiraling towards the mall. The helicopter crashes into the side of the building. Kogami attempted to grab Sukune before the crash, but the group is separated in the chaos. The cop survives and finds Kogami and Kaede both badly injured. Himeji then joins them and points to Ren, Yuruka, and Sukune, who are fleeing from the magical zombies. The trio are heading towards the medical school in search of treatment. Kogami tries to go after them, but Kaede stops him, insisting that they wait for rescue instead. Kogami says that he has to because he cares about Sukune, but Kaede questions why he didn't care when she was actually getting bullied back at school. She begins to reveal something about Sukune, saying that she made, but before she can finish, a robotic magical girl appears behind her. The robotic magical girl fires a plasma ball at them, but they narrowly dodge them. However, both Himeji and Kaede are hit by another plasma blast, leaving Kogami and the cop to face the same fate. Meanwhile, Yuruka and Sukune continue running, but Ren collapses, urging them to leave him behind. Yuruka refuses, vowing to not abandon him. She fights off a magical zombie, and then Ren confesses his feelings for her. He proposes that after they survive, they should start dating, with Yuruka technically not saying no. The three eventually reach the medical school, but the gates are locked. Suddenly, Ren and Yuruka collapse as another magical girl appears behind them. Sukune spits up blood while the robotic magical girl leaves the mall, eradicating everyone there. The volume then ends with two hooded figures looking over the city. One of them questions why they created a magical girl like that. The other responds that the detours are necessary to ensure the happy ending. But before we get to the next part, I just want to say that we now have a Discord server. So if you guys want to talk about your favorite series, get recommendations, and just connect with some like-minded fans of mine, then this is the server for you. We'll soon be hosting live community events like games, live reactions, and live readings only on the Discord server. So if you want to be involved in this, then why not scroll down and join our community? But back to the video. The third volume begins with a ball of lightning spawning in the middle of a park. Kogami appears in the park alive. He walks around the city noticing that everything seems calm and busy with people. He approaches a group of nerds talking about a Japanese idol and he begins to ask questions. However, something feels off. He then asks what year it is, and they reply that it's 2002, 10 years before the magical girl attacks. Kogami then sees the cop Akuda being restrained by some police officers who claim not to recognize him. Kogami then intervenes, pretending Akuda is just cosplaying, and the two escape into hiding. They discuss the situation and realize that they've time traveled back 10 years, likely saved by the magical girl robot. Now they must figure out what to do next. Kogami realizes that the younger versions of themselves are likely running around at this moment. Akuda decides to figure out a plan after taking a bath, leaving Kogami alone to contemplate Sukune. Akuta calls for a taxi, but ends up knocking out the driver unconscious. Kogami goes to his old house and finds Kanade waiting for him. She remembered that he used to live there, but their conversation is interrupted by screams coming from inside the house. A younger Kogami runs out, looking back at them before continuing to flee. Inside, Kogami's drunk father is beating his mother. When he notices Kogami, he becomes enraged. Kogami tries to fight him, but Koide holds him back. His father then throws his mother out of the house, and Kogami tells her to never give up on life, reassuring her that there's a brighter future ahead. His mother committed suicide when he was in the 3rd grade. A year later, his father was arrested for theft and later died in prison. Afterward, Kogami lived with his grandparents, but his happiest moments were at Sukune's house, where she brought him joy. Kaede then hugs him, revealing that she liked him too. She reminisces about giving him chocolates on Valentine's Day in elementary school, and in return he gifted her a hair clip to fix her messy hair. She remembers when Kogami would stand up for her when she was getting bullied. She then drops a bombshell. She confesses that Sukune had been threatening her for years. Sukune forced her and Miki to bully her to get Kogami's attention. Sukune wanted to play the tragic heroine, waiting for her white knight to save her. Despite being friends in elementary school, Sukune started acting strange, threatening to kill Kaede and Miki if they disobeyed her. Their parents suffered from mysterious accidents and illnesses, leaving them no choice but to comply. Kogami refuses to believe her and then accuses her of lying. Kaede gives him one more chance to believe her, but he just walks away. Meanwhile, Akuta leaves the bathhouse and notices that the taxi driver has regained consciousness and reports him to the police. Kogami then wanders the city thinking about Kaede's revelation and ends up in front of Tsukune's house. Tsukune's father sees him and notices his injuries, inviting him inside so he could treat him as he's a doctor. Tsukune's mother and father treat him kindly, and when Tsukune enters holding a treasure chest, she seems very uneasy. After spilling some snacks on the stairs, Kogami helps her clean it up. At a gas station, Koide is lured to a karaoke bar by three men under the gist of friendliness, but when she tries to leave, they pin her down at knife point and begin to assault her. Back at Tsukune's house, Kogami asks to go to the bathroom. However, he sneaks into her room and discovers her treasure chest. Inside, he finds shocking demonic drawings of all of the magical girls that would appear 10 years later. Tsukune's father catches him and accuses him of being a thief, forcing him to leave. Before leaving though, Kogami grabs an item from Tsukune's desk and asks her father if Tsukune has been acting strangely. Her father cryptically responds, "Who are you people?" but doesn't elaborate before kicking him out. We cut to Akuta fantasizing about Yuruka a lot, saying that he wants the real thing and wishes to go back to the present. As he looks out the window though, he notices someone familiar. At the karaoke bar, Himeji suddenly bursts in and knocks out all of the men, attacking Kaede. Akuta, who had been following Himeji, helps restrain the attackers. Kogami, now at a park, sulks about Tsukune's possible connection to the Magical Girl Apocalypse project. A woman named Hikaru, a struggling manga artist, finds him and offers to help him. She takes him to her home, where she shares her dreams of success and how this manga might be her last chance. Kogami falls asleep and has nightmares, prompting Hiruka to comfort him by staying close. Akuta ties up all of the boys and then he starts beating them up, saying that he's going to try to stop the apocalypse from happening, so he's going to have to live out his life in these next 10 years. He then asks Kaede where Yuruka lives. Akuta spies on Yuruka, waiting outside her house until she steps out to take out the trash. He had tied up Himeji and Kaede in front of the karaoke men. He attempts to stab her but disappears mysteriously. The karaoke attackers witness Kaede and Himeji vanish in a flash of electric sparks. Hiruka then wakes up to find that Kogami had disappeared as well. The four are transported back to the Magical Girl Apocalypse, where someone is seen destroying the robotic Magical Girl. A magical girl then runs in and Kogami tries to untie Kaede and Himeji, but Akuta just runs off. Magical zombies corner Akuta, but he fights them off, even stabbing one magical girl in the head. However, her twin then appears and blasts him off a building. A spider-like magical girl pursues the group and manages to kill Himeji. The magical girl then targets Kogami and Kaede, but is shot down by two military soldiers. The hooded figures from earlier discuss the destruction of the robot magical girl, stating that he's learned too much. They then reveal that the Americans are also involved in the attack. However, they're just here to collect samples from the magical girls. But none of it matters as the project is heading towards its happy ending. The soldiers call for an extraction to a deserted island. Kogami and Kaede comfort each other as the man soldier tries to flirt with his partner, but she shuts him down. Kogami tells them about their time travel and what he learned about Tsukune and her father, handing over what he took from her desk. The soldiers then decide to investigate Tsukune's father's hospital. At the medical school, we see Tsukune, Yuruka, and Ren recovering from their wounds. Tsukune's father introduces himself, explaining that a magical girl using poison gas attacked the school, but his staff managed to pull them inside before dying. Tsukune wakes up, but she is later found missing, having gone to the roof. She calls out to Kogami, pleading for him to love her. The extraction helicopter arrives, but Kaede has to retrieve something quickly. Magical zombies start swarming the area, forcing Kogami and the others to fight them off. However, they start running out of time. Kaede distracts the horde to allow Kogami to escape. Just as Kaede seems doomed, the magical zombies suddenly disappear. The volume then ends with Tsukune speaking to her father, ominously saying, "You've probably noticed, those magical girls are the one eye." The fourth volume begins with Akuta soaring through the air. wielding a wand in his hand. He uses the wand to propel himself to safety, realizing that he now has possession of the powers of a magical girl. Kaede and Kogami are stunned by the sudden disappearance of the magical zombies. As they glance towards a nearby rooftop, they notice two hooded figures who vanish just as quickly. Behind Kaede, a new magical girl appears, preparing a ball of plasma to destroy the area. Kaede then makes a desperate dash towards the helicopter, narrowly escaping the massive explosion. At the medical school, Yoruka recounts her backstory, revealing that she has never trusted men due to her father cheating on her mother. She explains that this distrust led her to rejecting Ren's confession of love. Despite her rejection though, Ren respects her decision. Yoruka takes the little girl, who apparently survived the mall incident, to the bathroom. While inside, a magical girl is seen peering through the window. As the little girl is in the bathroom, Yoruka overhears Sukune and her father conversating on the rooftop. During their exchange, Yoruka learns that Sukune is not who she claims to be. She is Asuka, and she is responsible for the magical girl apocalypse. Asuka admits that the magical girls terrorizing the world are the very ones she created through her drawings. Noticing Yoruka's presence, Asuka smiles sinisterly, causing Yoruka to run away. Yoruka then grabs the little girl's hand and they rush back to their room. Meanwhile, Kogami and Kaede convince the soldiers to head towards the school. Simultaneously, Akuda speeds towards the same location on a motorcycle. Back at the room, Yoruka and the little girl return only to find Ren crawling out of it. He warns them of a mechanical magical girl closing in. Suddenly, a nurse appears, but she is quickly taken over by a parasite magical girl, who manifests above her head, the same one from the mall. It becomes evident that all of the previous defeated magical girls have been revived, and they begin pursuing the group. Ren is attacked by one of the magical girls, leaving him bleeding heavily. Another magical girl stabs him in the foot, but a fireball distracts her long enough for Ren to escape. On the rooftop, Sukune's father confronts Asuka, demanding to know her true intentions. Asuka declares that no harm would come to him because this world was designed to bring her and Kogami together. Ren, now gravely injured, hides with Yoruka and the little girl as chaos erupts throughout the hospital. However, another magical girl soon finds them, preparing to launch an attack. Back on the rooftop, Asuka reveals that this world was specifically created for her and Kogami. The two hooded figures appear once again, cryptically announcing that the end is near. Ren sacrifices himself to protect Yoruka and the little girl, bleeding out as Yoruka tearfully apologizes for lying about loving him. She kisses him goodbye, but before the magical girl can attack again, Akuda bursts in and eliminates her by stabbing her in the head. He takes her wand, vowing to protect the girl that he loves. Tragically, Ren reanimates as a magical zombie. Akuda is forced to put him down, pulling Yoruka and the little girl to safety. The mechanical magical girl gathers the remaining magical girls, using a beam of light to enhance their abilities. In the helicopter, the soldiers approach the school and urge Kogami to rest. Exhausted and feverish after running barefoot for so long, Kogami collapses, but he is reassured that they are headed to a medical school where he could recover. As the helicopter lands, someone watches them from the rooftop. Inside the hospital, Akuda, Yoruka, and the little girl navigate through the hallway, only to encounter a transformed magical girl. Akuda tries to blast her away, but she retaliates by blasting away his arm. The trio is then cornered as the magical girls appear, now with new transformations. The figure on the rooftop reveals herself to be Asuka, who realizes that Kogami is aboard the helicopter. Meanwhile, the soldiers, Natsukawa and Ashiya, enter the hospital, fighting off magical zombies while searching for survivors. During their search though, they flirt around, with Natsukawa subtly admitting that she has feelings for him. However, their mission takes a grim turn when they encounter the mechanical magical girl. Despite spraying her down with gunfire, she kills Ashiya by slicing him in half. Enraged and grief-stricken, Natsukawa charges at the magical girl. A flashback reveals Ashiya wanted Natsukawa to meet his son, who has longed to meet her. When they actually meet, they have an amazing day of playing games and enjoying some dinner. At night, the child asks if she likes somebody, and asks why not his papa since he really likes her. Before he goes to sleep, he says that it will be really nice to have a mama. While cleaning the dishes, Ashiya says that his wife died after giving birth to his son. He's always dreamed of having a mother, and it's been a long time since he's seen him so happy. He tells her that she's welcome to come back, and she smiles and accepts. Back in the present, Natsukawa is fatally stabbed by the mechanical magical girl, collapsing beside Ashiya. The other soldiers on the helicopter plan on leaving, but Kaede exits the helicopter to search for Ashiya and Natsukawa. Akuda tries to think of an escape plan as he tightens his arm to stop the bleeding. He talks to the magical girl, saying that he's sorry for murdering them but wants the fighting to end. The magical girls see through him though, and they try to kill him. However, Yuruka then admits that she knows about Sukune's secret. With the magical girls distracted, Akuda saves Yuruka and the little girl by running out of a window and handcuffing him to a pipe, sliding down and crashing through a window. He contemplates a grim solution to end the apocalypse. They must murder Sukune to eliminate all of the magical girls once and for all. The volume ends with Kaede being captured by Asuka, who mockingly calls her my little slave. Magical Girl Apocalypse is so weird in just a really bad way. I don't like this series so far, but I will mention the positives first. The first chapter was actually really cool. I like the way that they introduced everything really quickly and brought like the gore and the theme of the whole series in just a couple pages. I really like all of the gore, and the kills shown are just absolutely brutal. The art style and designs of the different magical girls and zombies are amazing. There are no complaints there at all. I like the little after credit scenes that hint at Sukune being the villain. The world building and the lore are really cool. The plot twists are really nice, and it's a very creative and twisted version of the magical girl genre, something that hasn't really been done before, and I have to give credit to the creative ideas that were added on to this already packed subgenre. The characters themselves are also really interesting. I like some of these characters. The main character is just a bland copy and pasted MC, but he does get some troubled family history that adds a bit of character to him. Sukune was a shocking twist villain who seems to be possessed by a magical girl named Asuka, or at least that's what I'm guessing. She's kind of like the Kyubey of the series, like the evil source of all of the magical girl powers. Now, the other side characters are also really interesting to see, but this brings up one of the main problems of the series. The fact that the characters just get killed off without any warning or build-up. I understand that it's unpredictable to know who dies and who lives, so you get this final mixed group of people that don't really match. It's like realistic in a sense, but this brings up the problem of adding in way too many characters just for them to be offed off or never seen again in later chapters. Inui, Godai, Kasai, the fat dude, the lolly, Miki, Arimura, so many characters that were just killed off so quickly after just getting to know them, literally introducing them. So when people that stayed longer like Ren, Himeji, Natsukawa, and Ashiya eventually die, it's not as impactful because we're kind of expecting it already. It was just done for shock factor. Similar to how Akame got killed just murdered people off just to shock the audience. However, I was not shocked at Natsukawa and Ashiya's death. I didn't really care when Himeji died, and when Ren sacrificed himself, yeah, it was kind of sad, but I honestly expected Yuruka to die there instead. And now, let's talk about the time travel arc in Volume 3. This has got to be the most useless and most jarring thing in this series. Now, I do not like time travel. I have some exceptions, but very little. But the problem with this series is that the time travel was pretty much unneeded. You can find out about all of the stuff that happened in the time travel arc in the present time. You can find out about Sukune's secret either in the hospital on the rooftop, or just have an arc where the group passes by Koagami's house and then Sukune's house. So then you could also find out about Koagami's backstory. We already know that Akuda is like this horny bad guy, so we don't need a scene of him trying to and kill an 8-year-old version of Yuruka. And now, I know Yuruka is supposed to be like the fan service character, but I mean, she always has her nipples popping out of her shirt or just straight up topless. But why do you have to have her 8-year-old self be so sexualized? It is honestly disgusting. The mangaka has a whole lot of explaining to do after that. This whole arc was literally so pointless, and it just muddles the whole experience. Like, We already have magical girls, zombies, kaijus, robots, devil worship, and now we have time travel. Next, we're gonna have to see freaking ghosts and aliens just show up in the next arc. I think Magical Girl Apocalypse is doing way too much stuff, way too much useless stuff. I don't know if I'm supposed to take this very seriously. Like, the mangaka makes it seem like I'm supposed to care for these characters, like I'm supposed to get excited to find out what's going on, but throwing out stuff like the time travel thing, it just so weird. I don't know. I'm going to try to enjoy this series as much as I can, so get ready for part 2 of Magical Girl Apocalypse coming next week, because oh man, we're about to have an entire month of just magical girl zombies. But thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to join the Discord server. The link will be in the description below. Also, remember that we are streaming on Twitch now. We're not going to be streaming on YouTube. We'll be streaming the same time, the same day on Twitch, Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you guys enjoy horror manga videos like this one, then why not scroll down and hit that subscribe button. But I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.